one, if not two categories next year. So, and that's at his request, not mine. So, yeah, so I said, no, let's keep it at 10. He said, no, I have these ideas. And since he's giving me the money.
Ideas, where have I heard that?
I didn't do it. It's not me. One of our categories and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one. We've got Best Pulp Comic. Now, I'm not going to talk about every nominee in every section, but I do want to talk about this one a little bit because we had some major nominees in this section. Some pretty big companies. Dynamite was nominated. Moonstone was nominated. The award, however, goes to somebody that goes to a story that was actually reissued with some new stuff to it, and it qualified because it came out last year. And it goes to somebody that has not only put a lot of effort into comics, but has put a lot of effort into pulp. And is part of the reason a lot of us are doing this. So, the Best Pulp Comic for Pulp Ark 2011 is Boston Bombers by Ron Fortier and Red Bus Studios.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay, you know, this is really something special for me. Awesome. And I'm not going to bore you with an hour-and-a-half story on how this all came about. It was something that I actually began almost 25 years ago. It's one of those things that wrote itself. It was my first inkling of what pulp was all about. And I put it all in this comic book. So here we are, 25 years later, my good friend Bob comes along and says, you know what, you need to collect all that. We have to put it out for people to find and read. Good advice. And then thanks to Rob, we did it. We got the graphic novel collection out, and lo and behold, the 25-year-old project and dream wins us this. So thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, next, when you do any award ceremony, one of the biggest awards, you've got Best Book, and we're going to get to that in a second, but everybody is interested in Best Author. That's what we aspire for in any award ceremony. One of the things, and this was done by vote, but let me tell you about the nominee for this. And I don't know that anybody who knows the nominee, the winner, will argue. Part of the reason he wins the Best Author award has to do with proficiency, prolific. You know, he's got more stuff out there than most of us. You know, I'm really proud that Pro Se has 9 books, and then he shares a table spot with me, and there's more than 9 books in his one spot. And also, as far as the ability to work with anybody, and one of the words that I really associate with him, and I'm not told him this, and he and I are good friends, and I need this. Don't you say a word, Derek. He is one of the best peacemakers in pulp that I've ever seen. He understands the concept of community. He understands the concept of family. And, you know, I expected Derek to make a comment about me needing a peacemaker, but I do. And I want to say that this award for Best Author goes to the best peacemaker I know, Barry Reese. Are you going to speak? Okay, speak.
Thank you very much for those kind words. You know, this award means a lot to me. At the same time, though, I'm stunned because I think everybody else who was nominated is far more talented than I am. You know, I wish that I had Tommy's incredible idea engine in his head, and you know, Wayne's ability to write these incredible epic stories, Ron's tireless passion, and Van's ability to write these great cosmic epics. And you know, when I compare my work to the things you guys do, I just don't see it. But you know, it does mean a lot to me. I appreciate it. I definitely want to thank my wife for putting up with all of this. You know, she supports me in everything I do, and it means a lot to me. And to my son Julian, who always reminds me how wonderful life is. And I'm very glad that he's come into my life, and it puts a new perspective on all of this. So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
There's also another award I'm going to let Barry accept. Best Interior Art. And Barry didn't win it. He's not an artist. But the artist for his Rook Volume 5, Anthony Castrillo, won that and isn't here, so I'm going to allow Barry to accept that.
make sure that Anthony gets this. I'm sure on his behalf, I can tell you that it means a lot to him. And this is actually some of his artwork here on this as well. So he does a great job.
Now, we also gave an award, and this is really cool because I don't think you could have given this award probably 3 years ago, but the fact that we're able now to give a Best Pulp Magazine award was really cool, and we had several fantastic nominees. I'm not going to give you this one because I get to accept this one. I'm going to tell a really quick story about this. The Best Pulp Magazine is Mass Gun Mystery, which is one of the Pro Se magazines, and what's really cool is I'm going to reveal something. Okay? This is our worst selling magazine. Now, not by a lot, but just by a couple of numbers. And as I was watching the nominations roll in, I started seeing, and it won, I won't give you a great, but it won by a wide margin. And here's what I found out had happened. I said, okay, somebody's got to just be voting to be voting. You know, just, oh, I like this title. What had happened is 3 different people had bought the ebooks. And although we would much rather them buy ebooks from us, these 3 people had shared their ebooks with other people who had voted. So even though it didn't reflect in our sales, over 36 people voted for Mass Gun Mystery because they had borrowed ebooks from other people. So on behalf of Pro Se Productions and the authors that appeared in, and artists that have appeared in this book, I thank you. And we'll go through these pretty quickly. Let's see, I'm going to give 2 at one time. I'm going to go ahead and give the best book. And this is an important award. Like I said, we all want to know what the best book was for the previous year. And one of the things we did, and some people may take issue with this, everybody does their awards differently. We threw the door wide open. And we did that because that was the choice we made. So we got nominations. You know, most everybody in this room got nominated, that's been doing this a while, got nominated in some form or another. But we also got a lot of new faces, a lot of new names, which we really, you know, I don't care if it's our awards or if it's the Pulp Factory or whoever, getting new names is really cool. So, and our best book and best cover awards not only go to new names, but they go to the same book. For those of you that don't know, and if you haven't gotten one, there's a free CD at the front. There's a group out of Canada that does a podcast called Dakota Ring Theater. And they have a couple of really great characters, one of them being the Red Panda, who is Canada's 1930s version of the Shadow, Batman, whatever you want to say, with a little bit of mysticism thrown in. And if you haven't listened, it's a hoot. You are missing one of the best homages to that era that you've ever heard. And we even get into superheroes because of Tom Tomorrow and all these other characters. This is not an acceptance speech, and I'll have to tell Greg Taylor that I just wasn't going to read his half a page. But I will make an announcement that has to do with these, and then I'll announce the awards. One of the cool things that has come out of the Dakota Ring Theater is there was an episode recently of the Red Panda called The Wild West, where the main characters go back to the West. I am going to be taking the sheriff character, Dan Hunt, from that episode and doing a six episode, almost said issue, a 6-episode set of scripts for Dakota Ring Theater. And that's just been agreed on, so I'm really excited about that. The tentative title for that is The Weird West Adventures of Hunt and Peck. So look for that in the near future. But now, to the awards. Best book for Pulp Ark for 2011, Tales of the Red Panda, The Android Assassins by Greg Taylor. Best cover art, Tales of the Red Panda, The Android Assassins, art by Anthony Perkins. Alright. We're going to stay on the Canada kick. Because our best short story winner, and we had a ton, and some of the nominees are in there, and we had a ton of nominees for this. Our best short story winner is by a guy who's also done a show for Dakota Ring Theater. He did a summer showcase called Blaze Being Rodeo King. But his short story is a riff on a very popular Lovecraft title, and it stars his hero, the Scarlet Saint. Best short story is The Mountain Goats of Madness by Phil Bledsoe. Uh-oh. Ron's accepting this by proxy, and I'll let him say the words for this gentleman. The best pulp revival is Adam Lance Garcia, Green Llama.
Right, thank you. And here's the story behind this really quick, and it's the fun of what we do. I met Adam Garcia 2 years ago at the New York Comic Con. He introduced me to his father, who was an old-time pulp collector and fan. And when Adam found out that we were doing new pulp stuff, he signed on with Airship 27. And lo and behold, one of the things he said to us was, "Can I do the Green Llama?" It was my dad's favorite character as a boy. Done deal. So he writes a short story for us. It appears in the first Green Llama anthology we do. It's so well received. I get a letter from Adam's dad, Tom Garcia, who's beside himself. It's Adam's first published work. Adam comes back to us again and goes, "Can I write a Green Llama novel?" I said, "Well, yeah, can you?" "Yeah, go ahead." He turns around and writes this amazing thing called The Green Llama Unbound. And it is so affixed himself to this character now that he's even visited Boston University and looked at the estate of Crossan, George Crossan, the man who invented the Green Llama. Here's a whole new expansion on just a hobby that's become for this young man an entirely new career. The first novel, Unbound, is now the first of a trilogy, and he again become affiliated with this so much that aside from winning the Pulp Ark for Best Character Revival, he also earlier this year won the Pulp Factory Award for Best Novel of 2010. So on behalf of Adam Garcia, his entire family, thank you so much.
Which one of you is coming? Okay. While the proxy for this one comes, you know, we talk a lot, you hear a lot of us pulp writers talk about the people who inspire us, and there are several people in this room who inspire me. But as a group, there are people who have been doing this for decades that inspire all of us. And one of the first awards we wanted to do was a Lifetime Achievement Award. Now let me tell you, this is a little different. Instead of having everybody vote, I picked a committee of 10 people. And several of you are in the room, and we're a part of this committee. Wayne Skyver was here earlier, he was also on it. And what we did is we took nominations, and then we took 3 nominations, and then we took the top 3 out of those and voted. And I'm not going to say a whole lot about the couple who won, because it is a couple. And what was funny is when we took nominations, we were nominating single individuals, but so many people nominated these two together, and they are husband and wife. And I'll let Art speak on their behalf, but the Lifetime Achievement Award for Pulp Ark 2011 goes to Tom and Ginger Johnson.
Well, we tried to get a hold of Tom and Ginger, and they had something come up and were unavailable. But Rick and I have talked with them extensively. They have a great love for the whole pulp genre, and both of them have worked very hard. They have kept several of their little fanzines going. They have reprinted things. They worked with Bob Weinberg on that. And indeed, this really is, they're deserving of it. The two of them as a team have done a lot for pulpdom. And I knew them long before I had come here, just through the things they published. So again, I know that if they were here, they would be very grateful and very humble about it. But they're like the great grandparents of us all.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
Right. When I wrote what many have been calling my New Pulp Manifesto a few weeks ago, which is the idea behind New Pulp, and if you want some questions, ask questions, we can do that later. The very first person, now a bunch of people jumped on board. Ron did, Barry did, everybody, a lot of people did. The very first person that responded to me and said, "Not only are we doing this, I'm sending it to all my mailing lists, and when can I start putting the logo on the stuff I do," was Tom Johnson. I mean, and this goes back to a conversation we had last night where we were talking about New Pulp not wanting to be divisive. Tom is that bridge. Tom is a historian, but he's also an author of New Pulp stories. And his acceptance, don't get me wrong, I'm glad everybody here that's putting New Pulp on their books is going to. Joe is putting it on the Moonstone books, Ron's putting it on Airship. Simon & Schuster is going to put it on Paul Valmont Softback. But with Tom Johnson, within 10 minutes of this thing going up, sending me that and saying I'm on board, that was an honor for us. So I don't know how to do this last one, and I left it for last just because it's kind of awkward. Best New Writer for 2011. It's me. And I probably wouldn't be emotional if I wasn't so damned exhausted. But you're gonna have to use the Adam Garcia clock on me and not let me go full page. There's probably a handful of people in this room, and one of them sitting right there. Yeah, the ghost behind you.
Yeah, right.
That has been, and where's Rick? Rick's over there. They have known me long enough to know what this means to me. And what I have looked and looked and looked for a niche. I've looked for a place to fit with my writing. Got started in the fan fiction days, and we make a lot of jokes, and I do too, about my idea factory. The ideas like bullets thing in my head. And it was until Derek suggested, hey, I know this guy that'll let you write a story if you want to. And he said he's got a couple of things going, and one of them's a Western. So I emailed Ron Fortier for the first time. I said, hey, you don't know me, but Derek sent me. What do you got going on? And there was no question. Ron said, you know, Derek supports you, that's fine, here's what you can do. A lot of things happened that year. I got very sick. My son, we almost lost my 13-year-old son. And so I'm thinking, I've got my first chance to be published, and I'm going to lose it and Ron hung on and waited. And in that time, I met via email Barry and Rob and Van. If I never get anything else, this is enough. Thank you.
God bless.
Now, the nice lady who's letting us stay here wants to go home, so we're going to hurry. All right, we have art to auction. We're going to go through this quickly. I am nowhere near an auctioneer, but I am going to pick up a piece, and I will give a little history on it. If I don't know the history, I will refer to people who do. We have 3 artists featured today.